This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on which time zone you are in watching this video right now. Thank you very much for tuning in to another press conference right here with the Jamaica Football Federation. I'm Simon Preston. It's a pleasure to be able to have you all this morning or this afternoon. We have some announcements here from the Federation, but before we do that, we will start with some opening remarks. And we're going to ask our president, Mr. Michael Ricketts, to start with some opening remarks. So, Mr. Ricketts, good morning to you, sir. We just kindly ask for you to unmute. All right, and you may proceed. Mr. Ricketts, can you hear me? I see your audio is open, so you can go ahead and speak. And
Are you hearing me, Simon?
yes, I am, Mr. President. You can go ahead.
Okay, great. All right, Dennis, are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, President, hearing you.
Okay, great. This morning we have some great news for the
President,
footballing fraternity, and certainly
remember that Christoph is on also from FIFA.
right. Christoph, good morning.
Good morning, President.
Great. Hope you're hearing me clearly.
I can hear you loud and clearly. Many thanks.
Great. So this morning we just want to make an announcement. We were yesterday advised by the FIFA Audit Committee that based on reports coming in from the recently done audit, that we have now been formally and officially removed from restricted funding. This is welcome news. We are just absolutely delighted. And it was certainly a job very well done. And I must use this opportunity and this forum to express my absolute regard to, first and foremost, our accounting department headed by Mrs. Lewis, and of course, the other staff members, and probably most importantly, our GenSec, who would have masterminded and would have supervised the whole process. To the FIFA personnel who work very closely with us, and I know sometimes that we felt frustrated, and I'm pretty certain that they would have gotten that feeling as well. When we thought that things weren't going well, we would have had a number of meetings. I remember calling a meeting while we were at the FIFA Congress in Bangkok, and I really was intent on getting from the horse's mouth what the issues were. And we had a meeting, and it went very well. In fact, the auditors re-summoned us to a meeting the following morning, as we would have presented our case, and they demanded of us that we present to them documented proof of what we would have said to them that we were doing. We were able to have done that the following morning, and of course, they followed up, and they were really intent on giving us the kind of support that would have helped us so that we are where we are now. And again,
We lost the president.
Yeah, that appears so, but we will certainly keep tabs on him when he logs back on for sure. But yes, we did lose the president, and we look forward to having him back on quite shortly. But until we do have the president back, we will move on in terms of the next item that we have, and that is Mr. Christoph Sopeja, who is the FIFA head of MA Finance Services. Good afternoon, Mr. Sopeja. You may go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to be present on this conference, on this press conference. And as the president said, it's actually good news to be shared, because the Governance, Audit and Compliance Committee of FIFA has been lifting the restricted funding mechanism for the Jamaica Football Federation. the Jamaican Football Federation has been under restricted funding since 2020. So now we are in 2025, and finally, we could share this good news. And this is based on the achievement that has been reached, on the improvement that has been done by the Jamaican Football Federation over these past years. So as part of the FIFA forward regulations, each year FIFA appointed auditors are doing some agreed upon procedure checks on how member associations are spending the FIFA funds, the funds they get from FIFA. So this applies for all our member associations. In the case of Jamaica, we have, in agreement with the member association, already done last year a review of the first 6 months, and now in February we have completed the review for the remaining 6 months of the financial year 2024. The FIFA appointed auditors from Ancora have shared the report with us, and indeed it showed massive improvements when it comes to financial governance matters, as for instance the member association successfully accessed online banking system. They have upgraded the accounting software system, and additionally also made other efforts with regard to procurement procedure, for instance. Also, the level of supporting documentation has massively been improved, and the FIFA funded activities were fully supported with supporting documentation. Based on this really great achievement, the FIFA Governance Audit and Compliance Committee, on its most recent meeting that was held earlier this month, has taken this decision to lift the restricted funding mechanism for the Jamaican Football Federation, meaning that now the member association has full access again to FIFA funding.
Thank you very much. Do you have any further comment? Okay, thank you very much. Much appreciated there. Now we'll hear from the General Secretary of the JFF, Mr.
Simon, is the president back on yet?
No, he's not back on as yet, but as soon as he is, I will alert everybody.
Right. All right. Thank you, everyone. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be here this morning speaking about this. Let me first welcome everyone from the media. You know, we've always been speaking over the period, and you all know what has been happening with JFF from the point of view of the restricted funding. We had indicated that we would have gotten to this point. We were a little delayed because of the election, but we always had the confidence that it would happen. Let me say that I would first like to thank the president, because one of the first conversations I had with him when I was coming here is that we have to get off restricted funding, and that was always a goal that he had. Let me thank the president. Let me also thank FIFA and Christoph in particular with his team, who over the period has really given us a lot of support to ensure that we have got to this point, including providing us with a consultant. So FIFA has been very strong in supporting us. And finally, but by no means last, I want to thank the staff, and led by Grace and her team in accounts. I think that they've done a wonderful job. You know, I could not have asked for a better support team to assist us through this process. And, you know, as the president said, we set the direction, we supervise, but the persons who really do the implementation are the staff, from the accounts to the team management led by Roy, which includes Crystal, Karen, Marvin, of course, you know, to the point where they were also annoying me to say, Mr. Chung, this can't work because this does not fall within the budget. And we, you know, these are things that we have to do to ensure that we are compliant with the FIFA regulations and what is required for the use of funds. So the culture from the staff, I think, was very, very important for us to get here. I can say briefly that when I came here in 2022, it was a different culture. At 11:30 a.m., I was the only one in the office, and I can tell you now that it's totally different. So, you know, the support from the staff, the persons I mentioned, Roy, Grace, Claudine, Lysandra, Marvin, Karen, Crystal, it was just tremendous, the support that we've got, and we really feel like a very professional unit now. I know these guys are great professionals. So we're happy that this has come. And from the FIFA side, I mentioned Christoph, but certainly our Caribbean representatives, Jair, Bertoni, and Malaika, were very instrumental in us getting here. So we're happy for it. What I would say is that going forward, though, although we're announcing this is by no means anything to rest on and say that we've really gotten to where we want to go. We need to continue this journey. We need to ensure that we stick to and continue to improve the processes that are in place, because we can't disappoint everyone who has batted for us and ensure that we're here. So I just want to end, Simon, by saying thank you to everyone. Thanks to the president for believing in us. And as the president says, once we put the right people in place, then things will happen. So I'm very happy where we are today. I would ask that the media, you've always been talking to me. You know, I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak to some of the staff and get firsthand what the journey has been like from them also, since you've always been hearing from myself and the president. But thank everyone. Thanks for coming. And we look forward to working with everyone in the future also.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chung. Now we'll hear from a member of the Finance Department, Ms. Grace Grant, who will also give some remarks as well. Grace, you can unmute and go ahead.
Pleasant morning, everyone. We're truly elated to be able to be here today to share this great news. The team has been able to accomplish the lift of this restriction through hard work and dedication. Throughout the years, the team has worked really hard to target each and every audit point received. I can say we are now operating in an environment that practices good financial governance as we implemented policies, procedures, and systems to manage finances effectively, ensuring accountability, transparency, and adherence to the different regulations, which ultimately foster trust and stability. The changes implemented were felt right across the administration. Everyone participated, everyone contributed. The team stood firm and executed the plans towards removing the restriction and created an environment where proper planning and adherence to procedures is practiced amongst us all, which will then translate into governing football in Jamaica effectively and efficiently. I must thank everyone that has been a part of my team, a part of this administration, because every single person here contributed tremendously. Mr. Chung has been there for us throughout it all with his expertise. He led us towards this victory that we accomplished today. Thanks again to everyone.
Thank you very much, Grace. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Simon, the
Yes?
president is on my phone, so he's having a problem coming on. So I'm going to let him talk, and you can hear him. Go ahead, President. Prez? President. Prez.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead and talk, President. I can hear you.
Okay. I was unfortunately I got disconnected, but I was saying that the process was long and tedious, but we were intent on getting things right, and eventually, after having several consultations, and having a number of meetings with key stakeholders from FIFA. We got official documentation yesterday that in fact we were removed from restricted funding. What this means is that things will be a lot easier. We will be treated differently for sure, because now we will have met all the requirements that were set out by the audit committee from FIFA. They are very comfortable and very happy with where we are now. The onus certainly will be on us to ensure that we continue on this trajectory, to ensure that we continue to do things how they would want us to do. We are doing very well from a fiscal perspective. We're managing our accounts a lot better. The staff at that department has been excellent. And it would be extremely remiss of me not to mention the work of Grace, Claudine, and Lysandra, who really would have done such an excellent job, supervised, of course, by the GS. So we are voting, we're happy. Again, I must use this opportunity to express my absolute regard to those stakeholders at our parent organization at FIFA who would have worked assiduously with us to ensure that we would have got things right. And they sometimes must have felt frustrated, as we would have sometimes. But the saying goes, all's well that ends well. And again, I must say thanks to the FIFA persons who would have given us tremendous support. And thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies from FIFA who would have given us the kind of help and the kind of support so that we have now been removed from restricted funding.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members of the media, this is now your opportunity, please. Please raise your hand, and afterwards, once you're indicated, unmute, and then you can pose your question, whether it is to Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Chung, or as well, our representative from FIFA as well, Mr. Christoph Sapijo. All right, so we can commence, and members of the media, we look forward to seeing you raise your hand. All right, Jason Guna, Jason Hall, you want to start? Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everybody here. Just had a question about the lifting of the restrictions. So, for those who aren't as well versed with what this really means, how will this affect us moving forward as far as a busy summer schedule coming up with World Cup qualifiers, the Gold Cup, and so on? What does this really mean for the ability for us to really fund the program the way we would like?
Mr. Chung, please unmute, because you're muted right now.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. So what it means, and Christoph is here also, you can support.
Yes, Christoph, thanks again to you personally.
Yeah, it means that our funding, we basically get the same amount, I understand, and it means that we get it in greater lump sums than what we get now. So we get it sort of spread out over the year, so we'll be able to access it sooner, because what it shows is that we have the ability now to manage it. That and that is why it would have been put on the installment funds rather than a greater lump sum being sent to us. But I understand also means that we have the ability to access certain project funds that we would not have been able to access before. So I was on a call with someone from FIFA Caribbean this morning, and we were discussing the need for us to have a meeting next week to actually look at some of those things that we can access, and what the difference is to us, and actually look at some development projects now. Now that our focus has shifted from one where we're working to get off of restricted funding and satisfy FIFA and show to them that we can actually practice proper financial governance here. So that's my understanding of it, Jason. Christoph, I don't know if you want to say anything about it.
You emphasize it quite well. So it means that the Jamaican Football Federation will get bigger installments than in the past. And as under restricted funding, it meant that we only could pay in monthly installments and not bigger sums, which has now been lifted. They also will have obviously access to the project funds as part of the FIFA Forward program. So that's pretty much what it means.
Okay. Jason, did you have a follow-up question to that?
No, I'm good for now. Thank you. Thanks for the answer as well.
All right, Livingston Scott from the Gleaner, good morning. Please unmute Livingston and then you can pose your question. All right, not hearing from you, so we're going to have to move on to Donald. Good morning, Donald. Go ahead.
Good morning, Simon. Good morning, guys. So a quick question here, and I just want just a little bit more clarity. You said that the funds were restricted, but is it that we missed out on funding? Well, I want to know the degree of funding that we would have missed out on, and if you can identify some of the specific things that you can now do that you couldn't do before.
When you say specific, I mean, as I said, as was outlined just now, there are some development funds in particular we can access. I understand, and also the fact that we don't receive money in the multiple installments like we did before. So that effectively is what it is.
Maybe if I want to add, the Jamaican Football Federation did not miss out of funding in the past. So it's just a matter, FIFA is going to pay the federation is now easier. It's less burdensome for the member association, as there is less, administrative burdens that they have to do in order to access the funds. And if a member association is under restricted funding, whatever is not being paid during the period of restrictions is not lost. It's still accessible for member associations.
Donald, did you have a follow-up to that point?
No, that's fine. Thanks, Simon.
No problem. All right, let's go back to Mr. Scott, Livingston Scott. Go ahead.
Yes, Simon, you hear me now?
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to know what kind of program will FIFA have to monitor the JF if such, and basically what will the JFF be doing to avoid any form of complacency and falling back into that kind of financial difficulties with the governing body. So it's a two-part.
Yeah, so Livy, FIFA will have its usual audit. Remember that we do have a reporting mechanism. So even though the restriction has been listed, they still ask us to do the reporting. So there's a monthly reporting that we do to FIFA on how the funds are spent. In addition to that, there's the annual audit, right? That is done, which looks at how the money are actually spent. So that will continue, and that has been very effective. In terms of going forward, of course, the president spoke to the commitment, and I'll ask the president to speak after, to ensure that there is proper financial governance. And also remember that we have improved our internal controls, our accounting system, and our policies. So all of those things we have in place, and we just need to make sure that we continue with them with the help of the FIFA audit and also our external audit, which we're concluding now, and we will be completing by the end of March. So we are on time for that because the financials are being drafted now. We'll ensure that we continue to comply. It's really just a matter of governance, and I'm sure the presidency is fully committed to that. So yeah, that's it, Olivia. The president dropped off a little bit, so you can go ahead, Simon, until he comes back on.
No problem. Livy, did you have a follow-up question to that?
Yeah. President, did you want to say anything about the question from Livingston about how we intend to continue to ensure that we're on?
Well, we've been on this path for over a year, maybe 2 years, as part of the process of ensuring that we get out restricted funding. So we have now become accustomed to doing what we are doing for probably 2 years or more. So, and having, of course, we must meet the requirements of the respective audits. So we will be strong. We have different personnel, which is so very important, that are actually managing the governance structure and the financial processes. So we will not go back there, not as long as I am around. But we must ensure that once we would have satisfied our parent organization, then the owner certainly will be on us to ensure that we stay on that path. So no, we will not go back there, I can assure you. And what's probably most important is the personnel that we now have working in that financial department.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Do we have any further questions from members of the media? You can raise your hand now before we conclude this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're watching. Okay, we'll take two more. One from Daniel Blake. Good morning. Daniel, I think you're still muted. So unmute and then you can pose a question. Good.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This one is directed to Mr. Supika. In answering a previous question, you said that the JFF didn't miss out on funding before. So I'm wondering, how does the process work going forward? Is it that they will get an increased lump sum in the coming months? Will it be paid out all at once in a specific time period? I just want to know if there were restrictions, how then do they get the previous funding that they may have potentially missed out on?
Thank you very much. This is a very good question. In case member associations have been on the restricted funding, indeed, it happens that there's a bit of a backlog of funding that in the past they have not got in full. And then based on the situation of the MAs, we are closely monitoring the situation. We can, as I said previously, provide bigger amounts per installments. It doesn't mean that we will release any backlogs in just one go, but we would have the possibility to increase the funding of the funds that are possible, because as per forward regulations, there is a set minimum of funds that member associations are entitled to receive. This, for instance, is in the current FIFA forward side, $3 million for projects, and it's up to $1.25 million under operational costs for each financial year. in order to get the full amount of $1.25 million under operational costs per year. Also, the member association have to fulfill certain criteria, football related. So having a number of national team games, both in men, also use girls and boys played as well. They need to fulfill certain criteria of having competitions, men, women, girls, and boys, in order to access the full funding. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Marlon, go ahead. Marlon, unmute and go ahead. Your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, some of my question was just answered a bit, but let me just ask Mr. Chung, is there any major projects that had to be on pause because of the restrictions that we can look forward to see restarted?
Yeah, so not necessarily forced to be on pause, but we did take a decision to focus on the exercise for the lifting of the restriction. But we are looking at some capital development, which have been discussed with the president and also our FIFA Caribbean rep, and we're going to meet on it next week. So there's some capital projects that we're looking at, but I won't give you the details of it now. We'll give you the details at a later date.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Marlon. Tyrone, go ahead. Mr. Davis. Yep, go ahead, Tyrone.
Right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Dennis Chung. Good morning. This is not a question, but just saying congratulations to the JFF and the team that they have did a wonderful job getting the restriction removed so they can operate more freely. So this is just more of a congratulation to the JFF and its team. All right, and keep on doing the good work.
Thank you, T-Guts. All right, Livingston, you can take the last question.
Really appreciate that particular comment.
Yes. I couldn't have the president here and not ask him about being re-elected as VP for the Caribbean football. And also, just to top it off with this achievement of getting the restriction lifted, just sum up both of those to me in a nutshell, if you can, Mr. President.
Mr. Livingston Scott, thanks a lot for your kind comments. Yes, I was re-elected. In fact, there were 9 of us, and 4 were returned. The 5 were not, obviously. So it speaks volumes, not just for Michael Rikish, but for the work that is being done by the JFF. And I don't think it's because of me personally why I was re-elected unopposed, but it was simply because of what is happening with Jamaica's football. And I would want to say massive congratulations to staff at the JFF and of course the directors, the technical department, who all would have done so very well to ensure that Jamaica would have had a positive impact, not just locally, but globally. I mean, when you hear the Caribbean person speak of our achievements as part of the Caribbean, then it certainly speaks volume for what our technical staff, our coaches, our coaching education program, our parishes, our directors, and our staff, we do have much to be thankful for.
Thank you, Mr. President. Livy?
Very proud though, of being in this position at this time, though, Mr. President.
I didn't hear that.
He's saying very proud. He's very proud president. Living.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
And he's going to buy us lunch for the whole of next month. Right, Living?
So I do hope so. All right, Mr. Scott, thanks a lot for your kind and positive words.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr. Chung, as well, and also Mr. Suppiger as well for joining us here as well this morning. Members of the media, thank you for your presence as well. The recording of this press conference will be sent.
I just use this opportunity to remind our football-loving fans that we engage St. and the Grenadines next Tuesday at Sabina Park. I mean, we want to give you a treat. We want to give you something to smile about. So just come out in your numbers and let's reestablish a partnership. And of course, we want to ensure that this game being part of the qualifying process going to the Gold Cup, we engage them in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday, and then we reciprocate. They come back here for a game next Tuesday. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and have a blessed day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ricketts. Much appreciated. Yes, that's 7 o'clock on Tuesday at Sabina Park. A very historic evening, folks, as Jamaica will become the first Caribbean nation to host not only a Gold Cup game, but a Gold Cup prelims game. As you remember, in 2019, Jamaica hosted Honduras in the Gold Cup in 2019, and now we'll be hosting a CONCACAF Gold Cup prelims game. So another piece of history for Jamaica on our home shores come this Tuesday. Members of the media, thanks again for your presence, and have a pleasant rest of the day. Thank you.
The recording has stopped.